Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this, all the gory details and everything that's coming out as a result of Virgil Ortiz suing his promoter, Goldenboy Promotions. A look into his financials. For the Boachuk fight, Virgil shall receive a purse of $1,500,000. The Boachuk bout shall be a 12-round bout at a maximum weight of 154 for the WBC interim junior middleweight title. Should the boxer lose the Boachuk fight, boxer's minimum purse during the term shall be $1 million, but if boxer wins his first bout under this agreement, his minimum purse shall be $2 million, regardless of his opponent. So that's gotta mean that he got $2 million for Madrimov after the Boachuk fight, and $2 million more for Erickson Lubricant. If the boxer holds a major world title, his minimum purse will be $2,500,000, regardless of his opponent. Oh, he's not getting that because he didn't make it there. If the boxer participates in the main event of a pay-per-view card as the A-side and defending his major world title, boxer will receive a minimum guarantee of $2,500,000 against no less than 75% net event revenues received by promoter for the event, less all costs incurred in connection with the promotion of the event, including but not limited to undercard expenses, opponent's purse, travel, lodging, advertising, and promotional expenses, press tours, taxes, promoter sanctioning fees, and the like, but not including any portion of the promoter's non-event related fixed overhead expenses. Boxer shall always be entitled to negotiate the guaranteed payment for any pay-per-view or non-pay-per-view event in good faith. Good faith? That may as well be a four-letter word in the sport of boxing. Nobody seems to do nothing in good faith. In the sport of boxing, the contract continues. Boxer's purses will be paid in full on the night of his fight or at boxer's election by wire within 2 business days thereafter. Promoter shall provide boxer with an initial accounting of net bout revenue for any pay-per-view bout and pay any amounts due within 45 days of the fight thereafter. Promoter shall provide boxer further accounting statements and payments no less than quarterly, beginning 60 days after the fight. Boxer shall have the right, once per calendar year, to perform an audit via third party and at boxer's own expense relative to net event revenue payments due to boxer under this agreement. Boxer shall provide promoter 5 business days notice of his intent to conduct any such audit, and any such audit shall be completed within 90 days of commencement. Boxer's audit rights shall survive this agreement. The promoter will save a 4 or 6 round spot on their undercards for any of the boxer's bouts for a prospect of the boxer's choosing. The promoter guarantees the boxer 2 bouts per year. Promoter will offer at least 3 opponents per bout, at least 60 days before the proposed fight date. And thus were the circumstances of Virgil Ortiz's time at Goldenboy Promotions that now may be coming to an end. If Virgil gets what he wants, and he might, as a result of this lawsuit that Goldenboy Promotions has now responded to. We are aware of the lawsuit. Unfortunately, Virgil is getting bad advice from his lawyer and manager who have repeatedly violated the contract. We will aggressively defend this lawsuit and enforce our rights. We are confident a judge will agree that our contract is valid and Virgil and his team are in breach. Which is a sort of cookie-cutter comment you see in these situations, providing reassurance that the contract is still valid and actionable, but that's what Goldenboy said when Canelo filed suit against them, and look at how that turned out. What might really make the case for Virgil to jump ship at his leisure is that a part of his deal with them was that if they lose their broadcast partner for any reason, his contract with them is voided, and we've known for a few days now that Goldenboy is out of contract with DAZN. So at this time, they don't have a broadcast partner. That wasn't the only reason that Gregory M. Smith gave for Virgil Ortiz moving to separate from Goldenboy, though. Maybe that's the strongest part of the case, but that's not it. It's also Oscar De La Hoya's uncouth public behavior that creates a less than hospitable environment to do business with other promoters in the industry, which we'll focus on here. We've covered that extensively here on the channel over the years, how Oscar De La Hoya loves to take to his social media to carry on about what are everybody else's drawbacks and everybody else's problems, making no light of his own. Best characterized by what are his ass clap Thursdays. These cute and cuddly little segments where Oscar basically takes shots at practically everyone in the industry, effectively burning bridges that Virgil may need to cross.
You can't do business like that.
And for somebody who's been in the industry as long as Oscar de la Hoya, one would expect that he'd carry himself with a little bit more dignity, but I've noticed that with the gradual passage of time, Oscar has become less reserved, less respectful, and more immature.
He's reached that ripe old age to where he's attempting to rebel against Father Time himself, what some people call a midlife crisis.
Some individuals resort to infantile and childish behaviors in an effort to reclaim and recapture their youth. Because if you actually followed the career of Oscar de la Hoya from the beginning to the end, you'll know that he was actually a lot more reserved and respectful when he was a younger man, though over time, he's become more infantile, more childish. As old people often do, settle into who they're going to be for the rest of their lives and shedding the skin. With so much of Oscar's personal life and struggles having been put on display for the prying eyes of the public, year by year, Oscar has shed more and more of his inhibitions.
The way, this guy's entire day revolves around treating his nose, tantric sex, mean tweets, and online rants. All the while, very little work is getting done. That's what makes it childish, because of how irresponsible it is. Now, maybe at this point, you don't care what people think about you.
About your public image.
Perhaps not, but how you are perceived publicly doesn't just affect you, it affects your company, it affects your fighters and their ability to do business. This reckless abandon.
It's childish, as only a small child would have such a blatant disregard for the consequences of their actions. So, if it turns out that Oscar's patented ass clap Thursdays have any small part to play in him potentially losing one of the few flagship fighters he has left, that might be the cue for Oscar to start acting his age. Because you're not one of the mean girls sat in the high school cafeteria trash-talking Becky and how she gives the high school quarterback a blowjob.
You are a 52-year-old man tasked with running a promotional company in the sport of boxing, and all you're promoting are gas station dick pills and reckless abandon.
You have to appreciate the gravity of what's going on here, because I don't think it's quite settled in for everybody that at this time, Goldenboy Promotions doesn't have a broadcaster. They may lose one of their flagship fighters.
And in light of all of this, DAZN as a platform is being given very little reason to continue doing business with Oscar de la Hoya, who's been dysfunctional throughout. Canelo Alvarez left you, Sinisi Estrada, Jaime Munguia, Virgil may be about to, and Ryan Garcia may walk out the door right behind him.
So what's the incentive to stay in the Goldenboy Promotions business? Alexis Rocha fights?
Scrappy Ramirez?
Now, preliminary reports seem to indicate that Goldenboy Promotions and DAZN agreed on material terms for an extension, according to a Goldenboy email to Virgil Ortiz Jr., which is included in his lawsuit. In late October, Goldenboy and DAZN agreed on the material terms of a new license agreement to cover calendar years 2026 and 2027, and have since exchanged several drafts of the long-form agreement documenting those material terms. A long-form contract has yet to be finalized.
So they're still between broadcasters right now,
with unsuccessful negotiations between Ortiz and Jaron Ennis believed to be a factor in that.
In layman's terms, the deal between DAZN and Goldenboy ain't finalized yet. Oscar isn't in the clear. He may not have enough to keep Virgil Ortiz under contract and on board, and DAZN may factor all of this into the equation.
Seems very obvious now that Oscar's been an obstruction to the Boots Ennis fight where he was supposed to help deliver it.
If Virgil ends up leaving,
like Canelo Alvarez ended up leaving, DAZN may have all this in mind and factor it into the equation as to whether or not they even want to keep doing business with Oscar. And it's not just the Canelo stuff and the Virgil stuff you have to factor in. There's also Brian Garcia.
Could he be the next one to leave Goldenboy Promotions? Ryan Garcia said he is moving on from Goldenboy once his contract is up with them after his next fight. Ryan's recent comments on Oscar after the Romero fight: "They gave me the worst offer you can ever imagine. Oscar has no trust or faith in me. Great fighters lose, and then they come back, rebuild, and get better. Look at all the times he lost and came back. Oscar doesn't respect me. I don't think he ever thought I was a good fighter. I have one more fight left with him, and that's it. I want to move on. I have the star power, unlike others, and I am coming back with a vengeance. I am a great fighter, and I can bounce back.
Set of comments naturally raises questions over where Ryan can go next. He has the star power to be a free agent and make his own moves. The Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney fights showed that. Garcia earned a reported $30 million for the Davis fight while pocketing $50 million from the Haney fight. Garcia has a massive social media following with over 10 million followers on Insta and over 1 million on X, showing he has the brand. As of January 16th, 2026, WBC interim super welterweight champion Virgil Ortiz has filed a lawsuit to terminate his promotional pact with Oscar and Goldenboy. This legal action is the latest in a series of disputes between top fighters and Goldenboy following previous public battles with Saul Canelo Alvarez and Ryan Garcia. As Oscar De La Hoya does not appear to have the same rapport with his fighters that Frank Warren has with his, or the good working relationship that Eddie Hearn has with his. From the moment he arrived on the platform, his dysfunctional way of doing business has been evident.
And thus, if you're DAZN, does this strike you as someone you want to keep doing business with and whose promotional company you want to keep pouring money into? I've seen more than one person, on more than one occasion, on more than one social media platform say they'd be perfectly okay with DAZN giving Goldenboy the boot and replacing them with Top Rank,
whose broadcast situation still appears to be in limbo, if not for some rumors that they've got something going on for the month of March or April. We may see some news, but things have been quiet for months since their ESPN deal ended last summer, and a lot of people are holding out hope that maybe they can give Goldenboy the boot and replace them with Top Rank. I personally would love that.
Though it seems like a lot of wishful thinking, and back over to Goldenboy and their myriad of problems.
They make themselves very easy to castigate publicly, but they are still not taking this lying down. Responding to Virgil Ortiz's lawsuit and his claims, they say, "Your comments about the negotiations for a potential fight against Jaron Ennis are wildly inaccurate. Goldenboy had offered Mr. Ortiz a guarantee of $3 million for that fight, $1 million more than the guarantee required by the agreement, along with potential pay-per-view upside. In response, Mr. Ortiz has demanded a $7 million guarantee, which is more than 3 times what is required under the current agreement and twice as much as Mr. Ortiz has ever earned in his career. That demand is completely unreasonable, given that neither Mr. Ortiz nor Mr. Ennis have ever proven the ability to carry a pay-per-view event. Manifestly, Mr. Ortiz is acting in bad faith and making wholly unreasonable demands." Moving a bit away from the lawsuit itself and the now defunct Boots Ennis fight, who's to blame for its collapse? I've long maintained that there is blame to be assigned on both sides. What Oscar was doing didn't help the situation, but Rick Merrigan's financial demands didn't help that shit either. You look at that number, $7 million up front, and you say, well, that doesn't seem like much.
In light of the massive purses that Turkey El Sheikh has been kicking out to these fighters to box on his Riyadh season and Ring Magazine cards, the problem is, it's not Turkey kicking out the money for this thing. Just because he, on occasion, is willing to pay above market value, that doesn't mean it should apply across the board. And this was not a fight he was paying for, so when you ask for $7 million, it's gotta be based on something.
Accented in the portion of the article that says that demand is completely unreasonable, given that neither Mr. Ortiz nor Mr. Ennis has ever proven the ability to carry a pay-per-view. Somebody kicks out 7 for Virgil. You know what's gonna happen? Boots is gonna want that too.
Why wouldn't he? Yeah, Virgil's got an interim title, but so does Boots. Virgil is unbeaten, but so is Boots.
And Jaron Ennis's metrics are actually better than Virgil's, so if somebody actually kicks out 7 to Virgil, you may have to kick out 7 to Boots, bringing the grand total due to the fighters up to $14 million up front. $14 million guaranteed. Now, what's the problem with that?
Well, just to generate $14 million at the box office, you would have to sell in excess of 233,000 pay-per-views at a price point of $60. And given this unstable pay-per-view landscape, you don't know if you're going to generate that. You don't know that you can clear that. The more you guarantee the fighters, the more you have to spend to do it, the riskier it becomes to put on.
Whereas if the guarantees are a lot more nominal, say $3 million for Virgil, $3 million for Boots, $6 million pot, that's easier to cover, and there may actually be an upside. So, if you really believe in this event and you believe in your own drawing power, you accept the nominal guarantee with the faith that there will be more on the back end.
Though if you don't have faith that it will do well, this is what happens. The fight doesn't happen.
You stand on your square, waiting for someone to kick out a small fortune to you, and if they don't, you don't. Do your job. There is blame to be assigned on both sides. I can believe that Team Ortiz asked for too much money just as much as I can believe that Oscar's unprofessional behavior burnt bridges that Virgil still needed to cross.
Both are believable, and to me, there is blame to be assigned on both sides for what was supposed to be a relatively simple set of negotiations between fighters who box on the same platform.
Shit's supposed to make it easier, but the fighters' financial demands are driving the cost of everything up. You might think that they've no concept of their actual market value. They don't really know how things work.
Maybe they don't. Or maybe they do, but they just don't care. They want what they want.
Do you think the fighters care, and their teams, if a pay-per-view bleeds red ink? So long as they make their money, they don't really give a damn. They don't care about the promotion, the network, the state of boxing.
They don't care that the market is oversaturated with pay-per-views to the point where boxing fans just don't want to buy them. So long as somebody loses their ass kicking out money to them, that's all they care about.
So $7 million due to one fighter who's no track record of selling pay-per-views or doing big gates, that's actually a lot of money. That's just what you're giving one fighter. What are you gonna have to spend on the other?
You know that even if Virgil Ortiz gets what he wants and gets to part ways with Goldenboy Promotions, that by itself doesn't guarantee that the Boots fight happens immediately after that.
Oh, some speculate that he could go to Matchroom like Canelo went to Matchroom when he left Goldenboy, but that's not the only place he can go. He can also go to Canelo's promotional company, which is said to be promoting his ring return in September. He could do that. He could go to MVP. He's not limited to just going to Matchroom.
Achieving free agency from Goldenboy Promotions does not guarantee that the Boots fight happens next, because while you're in court trying to achieve that free agency, what do you think Boots is going to be doing? Sitting at home? Sitting by the phone? Sitting on his hands and not fighting?
While you have this to deal with, he's going to go do his own thing in the interim.
The battle has just begun.